A little bit about myself. I teach here at the Dave School. I am the game development teacher. I would be the very last teacher you guys have if you go through the game program, and where we start from concept to creation, creating an entire video game. We create the first level. It's usually takes a few weeks, and you publish it, and you can take it home with you. Professionally, I've worked on aspects of Fortnite skins. I've worked on Tommy Hilfiger stuff, commercials for Mercedes Benz. I've done stuff with Post Malone, The Weeknd. I've worked on their toys. I have a collection of toys back here that I worked on for a company called Super Plastic, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun. But to get started, I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen. So we're going to start with, we're just going to go up here. Once you enter it, you should see a blank screen. We'll go to File, Open Sample. All right, so again, File, Open Sample. And we're going to pick Meet Matt. All right, so when Matt opens up, this is who we got. This is the guy that we're going to be painting on today. All right, so some of the concepts we're going to be going through is real-time physically based rendering. So PBR is what's called. And we're going to be working in non-destructive layers. So what that is just layers here. So if I create a layer, one doesn't hurt the one below it. It works with it. So it doesn't destroy anything. Kind of like if you guys have ever worked with Photoshop or anything like that. I don't know the level that you guys have had in prior softwares, but it works a lot like Photoshop, other than we can paint directly on our 3D models. So a lot of times you'll either create your own model or you'll receive one in a pipeline, and this is where you'll bring it. So a lot of industries use it in games, film, and in 3D designs. Right? So it's used to make realistic textures like metals, fabrics, wood, skin, and adding some weathering like dirt, edge wear, rust, and then you paint that directly in the 3D model. So first thing, so since we got them open, if you press the following keys, F2 on your keyboard, it'll go straight to 3D mode. F3, it's the 2D plane mode. So that way it's almost like painting on a piece of paper. F4 goes back. And then if you press F1, you get a split of both the 3D and the flat plane. So I'll show you what that kind of looks like. I'll just put a fill there. All right. Now it's red. So that's basically what it is. So this is the flat part. And then what we're looking at here in the head is the head. So here's the head texture set. You can on and off it. If I wanted to go to the body, I'll click the body, on and off, and the base that he's standing on as well. You click the eyeball, on and off. If I wanted to just do, instead of having to just click it, if I want to just look at the body and get rid of everything else, I can just click focus mode. I'm looking solely at the middle torso, and then you unclick the eyeball. So just poke it in its eye. And yes, Roblox Studio does have something similar to this. There's a couple of different some people have used Mari, which is one of the older substances before that also does 3D painting, but Adobe's basically become the industry standard here. All right, so then we're going to go through our main panels. Okay, so this here is our viewport. Obviously, this is where we see everything. Our layers panel right here, this is where we're basically going to be working to create the images we want to create on Matt here. After that is our texture set list, right? So this is where the head is, the body, and the base. So these are the parts where we can texture individually. So if I want to just work on the body again, I just go to the texture set list and click on the body or the head. All right. Next we have is our shelf with our brushes, painting, mode, right? And then our properties panel, which is right here. So this is tells how much spacing. So if I want to skip spacing, it'll show you right here how the the brush will paint. So obviously with that, it's going to keep skipping. If I push it closer together, you see the lines come together. You get a nice, clean, full line. So this is good for like making patterns if you want to make like filament patterns. You don't want to have to sit here and erase. You can just drag and drop through there. All right, so now that we got him in, the first thing you want to do, which is one of the most important thing, is you're going to bake your maps. So you're going to bake your maps. So here, what that does, what baking your maps does is it helps create different maps that you're going to be able to use to adjust your textures, which is your normal, which is what creates bumps and depth. That's what a normal does. Ambient occlusion, your curvature mask, so how the curves in his face would react to light. The position map, so where in the body it is, how thick it is, and the world space, so where in the world, how is it going to be pointing out. So why would you bake? Like, what is that even for? So in here, we have what are called generators and smart materials. So these are smart materials right here. They rely heavily on those masks, especially curvature and AO. All right, so to bake, what we would do is go right here where this little croissant is, and it should bring you to the screen like this. All right, so output size, this is how big you want your texture map. So the bigger the map number is, the more detail you can get in. So think about it in like resolutions of a picture, right? Or even a TV screen. A 32-bit, super tiny. Like this is what you're painting on. This little area. 64 is double that. 124, so it just keeps doubling. So most people texture if you want high fidelity in 4K. So it would be 409, right? Moderate to, and then if it's like an asset that you know is going to be far in the distance, it's not going to get much camera space, you would drop it down to some of the lowers. So that way you're not wasting computer and GPUs on that to render it out. So then you just, like I said, I like to go in 4K because this is going to be right up in front and personal. And then it's already clicked. All these that I already have comes pre-clicked. And you just hit bake textures. And you just wait as it goes through. Like, it's literally going through all of them. As you see, it's going through here. You can see it's going through the body right now. Body thickness, body normals, world space normal, and then base. All right, so it doesn't look like much because matte already comes in pre-baked. So normally you would see it. So the first thing we're going to do is open our smart shelf, right? We're going to be on his head and go look at smart materials. So let's drag something in here. You guys can drag whatever you want. So I went here, click, because these are the smart materials. And I dragged the fabric linen, right? So if you see, I can open up the folder, and this is everything that went in there. These are all the layers that made to pre-do to give me that look. So the wrinkles and everything. So if I take it step by step and just start unclicking things, you see they started with a base color. They just started with red. They added a fill, which they put cells, which is those little dots here. And another one to give it that deeper, rich feel right there. They add a little bit of surface detail. So this is where we start seeing that woven pattern. Right? So if I click, now you just see the photo. Just the vertical pattern. The horizontal pattern. The clumps in the in the actual fabric. Just the folds. So all these are used to build up and create a more realistic texture. All right. Now, say I like this, but I want something else on top of it. Right. Say I want to add a denim part to it. Go ahead and drag the denim over. But now it's completely overwritten the part, right? I just want this part, his face, to be denim. I don't want the rest. I want the rest flannel. So what you do is right click, and what we do is it's called adding a mask. So if you add a black mask, anything that's black in the mask won't be seen. Anything that's white in the mask will be visible. So we click inside the mask, scroll to the bottom, and you see here in grayscale, black don't see, white you see. And we can paint back right here on the face. And if you see, it's also doing it in the 2D image, because some people prefer to work on the flat surface and some people want to see it directly where they're at. You just paint. Now the easy way, if you feel that's tedious, is you click this little pointer right here. This goes in the UVs, and you can click the whole thing. So like there's that, and then all right, I didn't want all that. So I'll go back to black. I could do it. Select over here. Maybe I just want to take this cell out. So this just does that one cell. Knock out that one. So that way I don't have to sit here and click each individual one. And as you see right here, white where it's visible, black where it's not. So white, it's visible. Let me or two. This is the denim. This is the fabric behind it. Right? But what if I want to draw my own thing, right? On top of this. I can add another fill layer or a paint layer. Right? I just want to paint on it. Let me work on my paintbrush, right? I want it to be more of a straight line. Color in there. And then add a fill. Sorry. Every once in a while it gets away from me. But yeah, sometimes I'll add a fill. Choose the color I want. And I'll just make the whole thing black. Then I can just paint the parts I want. Say I want to paint this, right? So the way I'm doing this is I'm clicking and then I'm holding shift and it creates that straight line. And I can just keep clicking and it'll follow that line. Click right here, shift, click again, click again, click, shift, click. It follows the pattern I want. Again, like I said, it's non-destructive. So if I say, you know what? I don't like this. Decide I don't want to do this. I can either hide it or I can just delete it because I don't feel like dealing with it anymore. All right. We can also let's work on the body now. I'll add a fill layer. Make it green. Add a black mask. And then what I'll do is I'll add a generator. So generators are nice because I can adjust it based on curvature mask. So there's the curves. And if I wanted to, I can figure out how I want it. I want it nice and sharp, very fine lines. I want to soften it. So if you see, it's kind of pushes right off. Medium, large. Here's the big, huge, contrasty. Or if like, say I don't want it. I don't like that generator. Again, I just click right in here and go, I want a linear. Or if I don't want any of that, I can just click right here, say I delete that because I don't want that generator at all, right? I don't want a generator. I want to add a fill. And in that fill, I want to add an alpha. So what an alpha does is, again, it's a black and white image. Right. So now it's using shades of gray. So anything 0 to 1 is, so 0 is black, 1 is white. So if something's 100% is 1, it's 100% white, means all the color from underneath is showing through. Anything that's 0, nothing shows through. And then everything in between is what you're seeing here. And again, I can adjust this. How much is black? How much is white? Do I want to up the contrast, lower it? There's a tiling. So do I want it to be very small? Do I want it very big? Right. Then you can even layer those. So like now that I have that, I don't like that correct, right? So I put another filter on it, and I put a directional slope, right, or directional blur. There we go, directional slope. There we go. And now I've got it more. It's broken up some more. So this is what it looked like before. This is after. Right? It looks more like somebody kind of painted on there or kind of messed it up a bit. And if I wanted to, I can add even another one. And we'll go ahead and sharpen it. So now it's got, looks almost like old weathered paint. If I wanted to, I can go in here and adjust. I'm like, you know what? I want this to kind of pop out. I go back, I click right here to the base color, go to height, and you can push it. As you can see now, there's dimensions added to it. So it's not just a flat image. Yes, you can use 10 by 24. So 4K is a bit too much for memory reasons. Yes, you're right. I usually only use this kind of level for commercials. I have worked on, like I said, or for like toy presentations because I'm taking a still image. I mean, I'm using it for just this purpose alone for 4K, just to show you it. So I do appreciate that, Lorenzo. But yes, normally in my games, 2K textures are probably the max I usually hit, or we'll use 4, but we'll optimize and have it so it can LODs, or levels of detail. So it'll shoot down when the character isn't as close to something. So think about how sometimes you'll notice in a video game something that's far, and as you're coming, it kind of clips and starts looking better. So that's when that would happen. So yes, for computer reasons, for solitary reasons, yes, I am using it 4K, or for like commercials, but game, yes, you're right, wouldn't do it that way. So that was a good point. I appreciate that. But yeah, so you guys can kind of play around and mix and match how you want to do it. Use different paint brushes, fabrics, materials. Like I said, it's all non-destructible. So as you see, I just added this. Obviously, this is above it, and I'm like, no, I want the other pattern. I dropped it below. It doesn't destroy anything, and that's the best part of this layer-based system, right? That it's not going to hurt anything when you're making these changes. All right. So let's say we want to look at this thing. All right. Let's go to click the little camera button. It's the it's where you're rendering it, and we get to see what it's like if it was real life, and we can position it. If we want to take a render, right? So an actual picture of it. So this does is it puts studio lighting around it, and it gives it a nice look. So like if you wanted to make a product, or if you wanted to show off your work after you're done with your final project, you're like, hey, this came out really good. I want to show this. So this is a good way. You'd go in here, and then you would save your render. So you can override the resolution as well. So that way, if you want to make it bigger, less, but 1920 but 1080 is more than fine. Or if you want a square, 1080 by 1080. So you got a square resolution. Do remember when you're rendering and you're trying to save out an image, that composition matters as well with these. You want to show your project off in the best light. So make sure it's centered, and you want to have the same distance of space from the bottom, the empty space, as you do at the top and the bottom, right? So I will always leave a gap. Try not to. Oh, we do have another question. Could you explain how layers work? I always get confused about this part. All right, so layers is think about that's a great question. Get back to this. Think about layers like when you're putting on clothes, right? You have like, yeah, I'll show you. You have your first layer, a t-shirt, and your other shirt right above it, right? So you can still see that there's another layer there, but one doesn't have to affect the other. Then I add a jacket, right? That's another layer. So it's just like that. But what these does is nothing underneath is destroyed. Like when you put on a t-shirt, your other t-shirt underneath it doesn't get destroyed because you put a t-shirt on top of it, right? You're just adding to it. Okay, so that does make sense. All right. So yeah, so it works a lot like Photoshop's layers do, but they're designed for 3D texturing. So like I said, so layers are just stacked elements. You're just stacking these things one on top of the other. Does anybody else have any other questions? How do you erase? Another question. All right. Say I don't like something. You can go into either right here in the mask or the grunge mask. There's actually an eraser tool, right? So you're like, oh, I can't erase this. Make sure you're in the right layer, looking at what you want. So if it's a layer like this, you literally just go to the eraser tool right here. And yes, you can transition them. All right. So you don't have to do a hard erase. So like this, like you want to blend these two layers right at the body. So there's not a hard transition, right? You got this one and this one. Well, you can adjust the opacity on how much you want that one to bleed through. Right? And you can even adjust it by, like, say I just want to adjust the normal map. I'll go here, go to normal, and how much of my normal do I want? So I'll just put this back to material. It's easier to see. How much of this do I want to see? I'm going to drop it down, bring it up. This one's not the normal, so this is probably a height. Right? So there you go. So this is the height map. And you could blend like that. Does that answer, Lorenzo, or did you have something a little different? Yeah. So even with like video editing, right, you would still use layers. So when you're trying to transition from one to another, right, you'd have that nice, so there's not that hard transition. You have that nice little either easy ease in, ease out cut, right? So there's not that hard cut. I mean, some people like those too. But yeah, it's just you can either ease in the transitions. Right. And if I just wanted to affect just a specific one, I can go to each one and just affect that layer. Right. So here's the fabric pattern. I don't want as much fabric pattern. So I can slightly go in and just adjust that. So instead of adjusting the entire layer, I'm just adjusting the part that I want adjusted. So I'll pull that back a bit. Let's say the holes are a bit too much for me. Ease it back so it's much less. Another one that's an extra part of the holes, right? So it's now super slight. I don't want this bump here. This bump. So you can adjust however you want. Whatever makes it easiest for you. And then here's your opacity, stroke opacity. So how much do you want to affect the actual deletion of these things? So feel free to keep painting him if you want. I'll answer any questions, and then whatever you guys have, feel free to share in the chat as well. But those are covered just about the basics. It can get a lot more complicated than that. But once you come to class, we'll go. Once you actually start attending the classes, we'll go further in depth. Right now, this is just a basic overview of how to do things. So let me know if there's anything specific you want to touch on. All right.